The first time I handed my mother money, I was still naive enough to believe it would be temporary. It was a Thursday evening, the kind of humid summer night that made the air feel thick enough to chew. I had just turned 23, fresh out of college with my first real paycheck burning a hole in my bank account. The smell of my parents' aging ranch house wrapped around me as I stepped inside, lemon polish covering something deeper, something stale that no amount of cleaning could erase. Mom sat at the kitchen table, her fingers wrapped around a mug of tea that had long gone cold. The circles under her eyes looked like bruises. "Mom, Dad got the official notice today." Her voice was too light, the way it got when she was trying not to cry. I set my bag down slowly. "The layoff?" "Mom, 20 years at that plant. 20 years, and they gave him a severance package that wouldn't cover 3 months of groceries." I could see Dad through the sliding glass door, standing motionless in the backyard. His silhouette against the setting sun looked oddly deflated, like someone had let the air out of him. The man who used to toss me in the air until I shrieked with laughter now stood with his shoulders hunched, staring at the overgrown grass like it held answers. Mom's hands trembled as she pushed a pile of bills toward me. "Mom, we're behind on the mortgage, again." The numbers swam before my eyes, $1,872, past due, final notice. That's when she did it. That little hitch in her breath I'd come to recognize over the years. The one that always preceded the guilt. "Mom, baby, we just need help until things stabilize." I should have noticed how vague that timeline was. Should have questioned why Dad wasn't applying for new jobs yet. Should have wondered why Mom's part-time hours at the grocery store had mysteriously dwindled right when I graduated. But I didn't. I wrote the check that night with a sense of pride, my first real adult act. The ink glistened wet on the paper as I signed my name with a flourish, imagining myself the hero of this story. I had no idea I was signing a contract written in invisible ink. At first it was just the mortgage, then the car payment started slipping. Then the health insurance premiums went up. Every month brought a new crisis. The water heater exploding in the basement, Mom's emergency root canal, though I'd later find the receipt for her weekend casino trip. Dad's truck transmission giving out without warning, despite the mechanic's warnings he'd ignored for a year. I kept meticulous spreadsheets at first, color-coded by category, with projected end dates for my support. The yellow highlights marked temporary assistance stretched further and further into the future. 6 months in, I made the mistake of mentioning my savings account at Sunday dinner. "Mom, savings? How much do you have in there?" When I said $8,000, the look that passed between my parents made my skin prickle. 3 days later, Dad accidentally backed into the neighbor's BMW. Their insurance had lapsed. Guess who paid the $5,000 deductible? When the promotion came with relocation to another state, I hesitated. "Mom, you can't leave now. What about Dad's sleep apnea machine payments? What about—" I took the job anyway. The monthly transfers increased to cover the inconvenience of my distance. Mark proposed on a beach at sunset when I was 27. When we showed my parents the ring, Mom's smile didn't reach her eyes. "Mom, a wedding seems extravagant right now." She was right, of course. Because that same week, their roof started leaking. We got married at the courthouse on a Tuesday morning. My parents couldn't make it. Dad had a doctor's appointment. I paid for their new roof the next day. The night before that phone call, the one that would change everything. I sat up late reviewing our finances. Mark snored softly beside me as I stared at the numbers. $1,200 per month to my parents for 7 years equals $100,800. The down payment we still didn't have for a house. Lily's college fund that barely had 2 semesters covered. My own student loans I'd been deferring. The spreadsheet blurred as tears welled up. Somewhere between the first check and tonight I'd become the parent, and they'd become the children who never grew up. But tomorrow would be different. Tomorrow, I would ask for one thing in return. And when she said no, the entire fragile illusion would shatter like the cheap glass it always was. The alarm blared at 5:45 a.m., jolting me from restless sleep. My hand slapped the nightstand blindly before finding my phone. The screen glared at me. Tuesday, October 17th, presentation day. I'd been preparing for this Q3 review for 3 months. 12-hour workdays, weekends sacrificed to spreadsheets, all leading to this morning where I'd finally pitch my expansion proposal to corporate. The promotion to VP dangled just within reach, a 30% salary bump, stock options, the kind of security that meant Lily could finally attend that Montessori preschool we'd been eyeing. The shower water ran cold as I rehearsed my opening remarks. Steam fogged the mirror as I wiped it clear to apply makeup with trembling hands. Charcoal pencil skirt, silk blouse, the lucky amethyst earrings Mark gave me after Lily was born. Every detail mattered today. "Mommy, I'm hungry!" Lily's voice carried down the hallway, followed by the rhythmic thump of her stuffed bunny being dragged across hardwood. "I'll get you breakfast in a minute, sweetheart," I called back, wrestling with my pantyhose.
Mark appeared in the doorway, already dressed for his flight. "You've got this," he murmured, pressing a travel mug of coffee into my hands. His 7 a.m. flight to Chicago meant he couldn't be my safety net today. "Just remember—"
My phone rang. Unknown number. My stomach dropped. "Miss Reynolds, this is Janine from Bright Horizons. We've had a norovirus outbreak. 12 children vomiting since midnight. The health department is requiring immediate closure." The room tilted. "For how long? At least 48 hours for deep cleaning. Possibly longer if more cases develop." My planner flashed in my mind. Back-to-back meetings from 8 a.m. straight through my 2 p.m. presentation. Mark at 30,000 feet. Our usual babysitter in Florida for her sister's wedding. "Thank you for letting me know," I managed before hanging up.
Mark's hand found my shoulder. "How bad?" I pressed my forehead against his chest, inhaling the familiar scent of his aftershave. "Daycare's closed, possibly through Thursday." "Okay, new plan. I'll call United, see if I can—" "No," I pulled back. "This client pitch is your big break too. We can't both torpedo our careers in one day."
Options scrolled through my mind like ticker tape. 1. Call out sick risk losing the VP promotion after 6 months of grueling preparation. 2. Ask Mark to cancel, destroy his chance to lead the Chicago account, the project that would finally get him off constant travel rotation. 3. Take Lily to work unthinkable in our high-stakes corporate environment. 4. The nuclear option, call the woman who hadn't answered any of my last 8 calls. My thumb hovered over Mom's contact. The last text from her glared up at me from 2 weeks ago. "Can you Zelle the money today? The pharmacy won't refill my prescription without payment." "No, how's Lily? No thank you. Just another demand." Mark watched me chew my lip raw. "Call her. It's an emergency. 3 rings? 4. My hope dwindled with each tone. Then, "What now?" Her voice was gravelly with sleep and irritation. In the background, Judge Judy's distinctive cadence blared. She wasn't busy. She was never busy. "Mom, I need—" "Hold on." The phone muffled as she presumably muted the television. A long exhale crackled through the speaker. "Okay, what?" The words stuck like cotton in my throat. "Daycare's closed. I have the biggest presentation of my career today. Can you watch Lily just until—" "No?" Not I wish I could. Not let me check my schedule. Just no. The finality of it stole my breath. "But Mom, figure it out yourself. You're the one who decided to have a kid." The click in my ear was deafening. I stood frozen in our bedroom, phone still pressed to my ear, staring at Lily's crayon drawing taped to our mirror. A lopsided heart with Mommy scrawled beneath it in purple marker. What did she say? When I couldn't answer, he swore violently and reached for his own phone. "I'm calling Southwest right now. There's got to be a later flight." "No." The word tore from me like a sob. I sank onto the bed, my presentation notes blurring before me. 7 years of financial support. Countless emergencies answered. All the times I'd rearranged my life because, well, family helps family. And she couldn't give me 3 hours. In the end, I called Mrs. Ruiz next door, the retired school teacher who sometimes watched Lily when our sitter was sick. She agreed to take her for double her usual rate, despite Lily's sniffles suggesting she might be coming down with the same virus. I dropped Lily off with a lump in my throat, her small arms clinging to my neck. "Mommy has a very important meeting today, okay? Be extra good for Mrs. Ruiz." My hand shook through my entire presentation. My blouse stuck to my back with nervous sweat, but somehow, through sheer muscle memory, I nailed it. When the senior VP pulled me aside afterward to say my promotion was all but guaranteed, I should have felt elated. All I felt was empty. That night, as I scrubbed vomit from Lily's hair, the norovirus had indeed struck. The dam broke. 7 years. $100,800 in direct support. Countless other expenses quietly covered. All the missed opportunities, the house we couldn't afford, the vacations we didn't take, the savings we never built. for a woman who couldn't spare 3 hours. The towel slipped from my fingers as silent sobs racked my body. Not just for today, but for every time I'd swallowed my needs to cater to theirs. Every guilt trip accepted, every boundary ignored. Mark found me slumped against the bathroom tiles, Lily's damp sleeping form curled in my lap. Without a word, he helped me carry her to bed. Then he pulled up our banking app on his phone and handed it to me. The Parent Support Recurring Transfer notification glowed on the screen. Due tomorrow. My thumb hovered over cancel. It's okay. You're allowed to choose us. And for the first time in 7 years, I did. The silence lasted exactly 11 days. I'd been counting. When the first call came through that Tuesday morning, I was in the middle of making Lily's breakfast, carefully cutting her pancakes into dinosaur shapes the way she liked. My phone vibrated across the granite countertop, Mom's contact photo flashing, that forced smile from last year's Mother's Day brunch. I let it go to voicemail. The second call came as I was buckling Lily into her car seat for preschool, tiny fingers sticky with syrup pressed against my cheek as she asked, "Lily, Mommy, who keeps calling? Just work stuff, baby," I lied, wiping her hands with a wet wipe. By the time we got home, there were 3 more missed calls and a voicemail so loud I had to hold the phone away from my ear. "Mom, where is the money? The mortgage is due today. Do you want us to lose the house?" The call from Dad came at 6:17 p.m. I knew it wasn't really him before I even answered. Dad hadn't called me directly in years, always letting Mom handle their requests. But I picked up anyway. "Hello?" Silence. Then, "You selfish little bitch," Mom's voice dripping with venom. "Do you have any idea what you've done?" I could hear the television blaring in the background. Judge Judy, her afternoon ritual. She wasn't busy, she'd never been busy. "The bank called today," she hissed. "We're getting foreclosure notices because of you." Something cold settled in my chest. I pictured their house. The one I'd paid the down payment on. The one where my childhood bedroom had been converted into Mom's craft room that she never used. "You'll figure it out," I said calmly. The scream that came through the phone made Lily drop her stuffed bunny. Aunt Carol called the next morning while I was in a department meeting. "Aunt Carol, your mother is hysterical. How could you abandon them like this?" I excused myself to the hallway. "Did she tell you what happened?" My voice sounded strange to my own ears, too steady, too calm. "Aunt Carol, she said you're throwing a tantrum because she couldn't babysit one time." I laughed, a sharp, ugly sound that made a passing coworker glance at me nervously. "One time?" My grip on the phone tightened. In 7 years, she's watched Lily exactly twice, for 1 hour each, while I paid her. A pause. Then, "Well, family takes care of family," Aunt Carol said weakly. I hung up. That night, after putting Lily to bed, I sat on the floor of my walk-in closet, the one Mark and I could finally afford after stopping the payments, and listened to all 14 voicemails. The progression was almost artistic. "Mom, call me back right now, this isn't funny." "Mom, I don't know what game you're playing, but the mortgage is due today." "Mom, please, just call me back. We can talk about this." "Mom, your father is having chest pains because of your selfishness." "Mom, you were always a disappointment. Should have stopped at your brother." I deleted them all. By day 3, the Facebook post started, vague booking at its finest. "Mom, when you sacrifice everything for someone and they stab you in the back." "Mom, some people's hearts are just made of ice." Then the private messages from relatives I hadn't spoken to in years. "Your mom says you've changed. Family is forever, sweetheart." I blocked every single one. Day 7 brought the nuclear option. Mom showed up at my office. I was in the middle of a client presentation when I saw her through the glass conference room walls, her Sunday church dress, her hair freshly dyed, with money that used to come from me, arguing with the receptionist. My hands went numb. "I need 5 minutes," I whispered to my boss, then walked out to face her. Up close, I could see the mascara streaked down her cheeks, the carefully calculated, distraught mother look. "Mom, you're really going to do this? After everything I've done for you?" Something inside me snapped. "Name one thing," I said, my voice carrying. "One thing you've done for me in the past 5 years." Her mouth opened, closed. The receptionist's pen hovered over the security call button. Finally, Mom whispered, "I gave you life." I smiled, the saddest, emptiest smile. "And I gave you 7 years of mine. We're even." I turned and walked back to my meeting, leaving her standing there, finally understanding that this time, the bank was closed. The official notice came on a Thursday. I knew because Dad texted me a photo of it, The first direct communication we'd had in months. No words, just a shaky picture of the bank's ominous letterhead. I stared at it while stirring Lily's mac and cheese, watching the noodles break apart under too much force. They had 60 days. Mom's calls took on a new tone after that. Less anger, more desperation. Mom, we'll downsize. Just help us with first and last month's rent. Mom, your father found a part-time job. We just need a little bridge. I stopped answering. Dad's Walmart vest looked wrong on him. I saw it when they finally started packing. A candid photo Aunt Carol accidentally texted me of Dad loading boxes into a U-Haul, his new blue vest glaring under the afternoon sun. The man who used to lift me onto his shoulders now struggled with a medium-sized moving box. I cried for 20 minutes in the office bathroom. Then I sent the photo to Mark with one word. Good. Their new apartment was a 600-square-foot, one-bedroom near the bus line. No more sprawling backyard where I'd played as a child. No more formal dining room we'd never used. Just a cramped space with stained carpets and neighbors who fought loudly at 2 a.m. Mom finally applied for disability. Dad kept his Walmart job. They survived. The strangest part? I slept better. No more 3 a.m. panic attacks about overdraft fees. No more spreadsheets tracking their bills versus ours. No more resentment simmering beneath every holiday gathering. And Lily? She didn't even ask about Grandma. Because the truth was, Grandma had never really been present enough to be missed. Mom showed up unannounced on Lily's 5th birthday. She looked smaller somehow in the doorway, her perm growing out, her knockoff designer purse replaced with a drugstore tote. In her hands, a slightly melted grocery store cake with Lily's name misspelled. I thought... Her eyes darted past me to where Lily played with her new dinosaur figures. Maybe we could... The old me would have caved, would have made excuses, would have served coffee and pretended everything was fine. But the new me simply said, not today. As I closed the door, I heard the sound I'd been waiting a lifetime for. My mother's quiet, broken sobs on the other side of the threshold. Sometimes at night, I still check my old budgeting app. The one with all their payments neatly categorized. $1,200, parents' mortgage, $400, mom's medications, $300, dad's truck payment. Then I walk down the hall to Lily's room, where her crayon drawing labeled World's Best Grandma hangs proudly above her bed. It's a gift to our neighbor Mrs. Ruiz, who watches her every Thursday without complaint. And for the first time in 7 years, the ledger finally feels balanced.